Nestled in the heart of the Rockies, our vibrant mountain town was a sanctuary for adventure seekers and tourists alike. The stunning mountain views were a daily spectacle, a natural wonder that painted our lives with an ever-changing palette of colors and moods. This was home to me, Peter, and my little family. Our life revolved around the popular local Caf GC I owned, situated near the town square. The Caf GC was a bustling spot, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and homemade pastries drawing in both locals and tourists, filling the space with chatter and laughter. I had been married to Julia for 11 years, and together we had a 9-year-old daughter named Lily. Our lives were intertwined with the rhythms of the town, the changing seasons, and the steady flow of visitors. Lily loved the mountain life, often spending her afternoons exploring nature or helping out in the Caf GC. Despite the years of marriage and raising our daughter, I believed we had a strong, loving relationship. Julia and I had our routines, our shared responsibilities, and a bond that I thought was unshakable. However, the piece of our life began to shift when Julia developed a new interest in hiking groups and local community events. Initially, I thought it was great for her to channel her passion for nature into something productive. She became very active in a local environmental club, which took up more and more of her time. At first, I was supportive, believing it was just another phase of personal growth. But soon, I started to feel a growing distance between us. Julia's involvement in the club meant she spent less time at home. She seemed lost in her thoughts, often distracted and less interested in our usual family activities. Our conversations dwindled, replaced by her frequent absences and evasive responses about her whereabouts. I tried to connect with her, to bridge the gap that was forming between us, but she remained emotionally distant and preoccupied. It was as if she was living in a different world, one that I wasn't a part of. My suspicions began to grow when Julia started coming home late from her meetings and hikes. Her explanations were vague, and she often avoided eye contact when I asked her where she had been. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The warmth that once defined our relationship was fading, replaced by a cold, unfamiliar silence. I found myself lying awake at night, questioning everything I knew about our life together. The Caf GC, once a place of solace and joy, became a refuge where I could hide from the uncertainty brewing at home. My world, which had always been stable and predictable, was now overshadowed by doubt and confusion. I couldn't ignore the changes in Julia any longer. The distance between us was growing, and I feared what I might discover if I dug deeper. Yet I knew I couldn't continue living in this state of uncertainty. I needed to find out the truth, no matter how painful it might be. As Julia's involvement in the environmental club deepened, so did the chasm between us. I watched helplessly as she drifted further away, her passion for the club overshadowing her commitment to our family. She started spending weekends away on club retreats and took frequent phone calls that she always stepped out to answer. It felt like she was living a double life, one that excluded me and Lily entirely. Despite my growing unease, I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. I convinced myself that she was just engrossed in her new activities, that it was a phase that would eventually pass. But the signs were becoming harder to ignore. The late nights, the secretive behavior, the way she seemed more animated when talking about her new friends than when she was with us. One evening, after Julia had left for another club meeting, I found myself pacing the living room, my mind racing with suspicion and fear. I knew I needed to talk to someone about this, someone I could trust. I reached out to my best friend, Matt, who had always been a pillar of support. Over a few beers at the local pub, I confided in him about my concerns. "Do you think she's having an affair?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Matt looked at me thoughtfully, his expression a mix of concern and empathy. "I don't know, Pete, but if you feel something's off, trust your instincts. Maybe it's time to dig a little deeper, find out what's really going on." Encouraged by his advice, I decided to take a closer look at Julia's social media accounts. I noticed she had been interacting a lot with a man named Mark, another member of the environmental club. Their exchanges seemed friendly, but there was an intimacy to them that made me uncomfortable. They commented on each other's posts frequently, shared private jokes, and seemed to have a connection that went beyond a mere friendship. The more I delved into their interactions, the more uneasy I became. It was clear that Mark played a significant role in Julia's life, a role that was growing as her distance from me increased. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach as I realized that my worst fears might be coming true. The evidence was circumstantial, but it was enough to make me question everything. Determined to uncover the truth, I decided to investigate further. I placed a GPS tracker in Julia's car, a desperate move born out of my need to know what was really happening. It felt wrong, a violation of trust, but the trust between us was already shattered. I needed to know the truth, for my own peace of mind. That weekend, I followed her to one of her retreats, driving carefully to avoid being seen. She drove out of town, heading towards a cabin in the mountains, far from any scheduled club activities. I parked a safe distance away and used binoculars to watch the cabin. Hours passed, my anxiety growing with each minute. Finally, I saw Julia step out of the cabin, followed by Mark. They were laughing, their body language intimate and relaxed. Seeing them together, confirming my worst fears, was like a punch to the gut. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and a strange sense of relief. The truth was painful, but at least it was no longer hidden in shadows. I had the evidence I needed, and it was time to confront Julia. With my suspicions confirmed, I felt a heavy weight settle over me. Seeing Julia with Mark, laughing and sharing a connection that should have been reserved for us, was a blow I wasn't prepared for. The drive back home was a blur, my mind racing with thoughts of betrayal and heartbreak. How could she do this to us, to Lily? The next day I struggled to maintain a facade of normalcy. Lily was blissfully unaware of the storm brewing within our family. Her innocent chatter and carefree laughter were a stark contrast to the turmoil I felt inside. I wanted to shield her from the pain, to keep her world intact for as long as possible, but I knew I couldn't ignore the truth forever. That evening, after putting Lily to bed, I sat down at the kitchen table, staring at the evidence I had gathered. The GPS data, the photos of Julia and Mark at the cabin, and their social media interactions painted a clear picture. My heart ached, but I knew what I had to do. It was time to confront Julia and get the truth directly from her. When Julia walked in later that night, I could see the tension in her shoulders. She was trying to act normal, but there was an undercurrent of unease in her movements. I waited until she had settled into the living room before I spoke. "Julia, we need to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. She looked up, a flicker of anxiety in her eyes. "About what? About us? About what you've been doing?" I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. "I know about you and Mark." Her face went pale, and for a moment, she looked like she might deny it. But then she crumbled, burying her face in her hands. "I'm so sorry, Peter," she sobbed. "I never meant for this to happen." "Then why did it?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Why did you betray us?" Julia's tears flowed freely as she tried to explain herself. "I felt so alone, Peter. You were always so busy with the CAF GC, with everything else. Mark was there, he listened, he made me feel alive again. I never wanted to hurt you." Her words cut deep, a painful reminder of the growing distance between us. "And what about Lily? What about our family?" I know, she cried. "I made a terrible mistake. I was selfish and stupid. But I love you, Peter. I love Lily. I want to make things right." Her apology, though heartfelt, did little to mend the gaping wound in my heart. The anger and betrayal were too fresh, too raw. "I don't know if we can come back from this," I said quietly. "You've broken my trust, Julia. I don't know how to fix that." The conversation stretched into the early hours of the morning, filled with tears, accusations, and painful revelations. Julia admitted to the affair, recounting how it had started as an innocent friendship and evolved into something more. She spoke of her feelings of neglect and loneliness, of how she had sought comfort in Mark's attention. I listened, my emotions swinging between anger and sorrow. By the time we finished talking, there was a fragile understanding between us. Julia was remorseful and desperate to repair our relationship, but I wasn't sure if I was ready to forgive. The path ahead was uncertain, and the wounds were too fresh to think about healing just yet. All I knew was that our lives had been irrevocably changed, and it would take time to navigate through the aftermath. The next few days were a blur of strained conversations and awkward silences. We both tried to put on a brave face for Lily, but the tension was palpable. I found myself retreating to the CAF GC more often, seeking solace in the familiar routine and the support of my friends and customers. Matt, in particular, was a constant source of strength, offering a listening ear and practical advice. One evening, as I was closing up the CAF GC, Matt pulled me aside. "How are you holding up, Pete?" he asked, his concern evident. "It's tough," I admitted. "I don't know what to do." Part of me wants to try and fix things, but another part just wants to walk away. Take your time, he advised. You don't have to make any decisions right now. Just focus on what you need to heal, for yourself and for Lily. His words resonated with me. I realized that in the midst of my pain, I had to prioritize my own well-being and that of my daughter. The road to recovery would be long and difficult, but I owed it to myself and to Lily to find a way through. As the days turned into weeks, Julia and I continued to navigate the fragile truce we had established. She was determined to prove her commitment to our family, attending counseling sessions and making an effort to reconnect with me. I, too, sought therapy, trying to untangle the complex web of emotions that had ensnared me. It was a slow and painful process, but I knew it was necessary if there was any hope of moving forward. Our journey was far from over, but with each passing day, I began to see glimmers of hope. The pain of betrayal still lingered, but there were moments of clarity and understanding that hinted at the possibility of healing. Whether our marriage could survive the storm remained to be seen, but for the sake of our daughter and our own sanity, we were determined to try. As the days went by, the atmosphere at home remained tense. Julia and I were locked in an uneasy dance, trying to navigate the fractured remains of our relationship while maintaining a semblance of normalcy for Lily. I felt a constant knot of anxiety in my stomach, a mix of anger, betrayal, and sorrow that never seemed to dissipate. Despite our attempts at reconciliation, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still amiss. One night, after a particularly strained dinner, Julia excused herself to take a phone call. I watched her step out onto the porch, her voice hushed as she spoke to whoever was on the other end. My heart pounded as I realized I needed to know more. The trust between us was shattered, and I needed to understand the full extent of her relationship with Mark. I had to confront her with the evidence I had gathered, to force the truth into the open. The next day, while Julia was at work, I took the opportunity to gather my thoughts and prepare myself for the confrontation. I retrieved the GPS data, the photos, and the social media interactions I had saved, laying them out on the kitchen table. Seeing the evidence all together was overwhelming, but it strengthened my resolve. I needed answers, and I deserved to hear them from Julia herself. That evening, after Lily had gone to bed, I asked Julia to sit down with me in the living room. She looked wary, sensing the gravity of the moment. "What's going on, Peter?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "Julia, I know about you and Mark. I know about the cabin, the messages, everything." I gestured to the evidence spread out on the table. "I need you to tell me the truth, all of it." Her face went pale, and for a moment, she seemed at a loss for words. Then she broke down, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, Peter," she sobbed. "I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted any of this to happen." "Then why did it?" I demanded, my voice cracking with emotion. "Why did you betray us?" Through her tears, Julia tried to explain herself. She spoke of her feelings of loneliness and neglect, of how she had felt abandoned while I focused on the CAF GC and our daily routines. "Mark was there for me when I felt like no one else was," she said. "He listened to me, made me feel alive again, but I never wanted it to go this far." "Go this far?" I repeated, my anger rising. "You had an affair, Julia. You lied to me, to Lily. How can I ever trust you again?" She shook her head, her sobs intensifying. "I know I've broken your trust, Peter. I know I've made a terrible mistake, but I love you. I love Lily. I want to make things right. Please, give me a chance to prove it." Her words cut deep, a painful reminder of the love and life we had built together. Despite my anger, a part of me still wanted to believe her, to find a way to heal the rift between us. But the road to forgiveness was uncertain, and the wounds were still raw. "How can I believe anything you say?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "You've been lying to me for months. How do I know this isn't just another lie?" Julia reached out, her hand trembling as she placed it on mine. "I know it will take time, Peter, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn back your trust. I'll go to counseling, I'll cut off all contact with Mark, I'll do anything. Just please, give me a chance." Her desperation was palpable, and for a moment I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe there was a way to rebuild what had been broken, but I knew it wouldn't be easy. The road ahead was filled with pain and uncertainty, and I wasn't sure if our marriage could survive the journey. I don't know if I can do this, I said, pulling my hand away. I need time to think, to figure out what I want. Right now, I just need some space. Julia nodded, tears still streaming down her face. I understand. I'll give you all the space you need. Just please don't give up on us. As she retreated to the bedroom, I sat alone in the living room, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. The confrontation had given me some of the answers I sought, but it had also raised new questions, new doubts. Could I ever truly forgive Julia? Could we ever rebuild the trust that had been so thoroughly shattered? And what would this mean for Lily, for our family? The days that followed were a blur of introspection and uncertainty. I threw myself into the CAF GC, finding solace in the familiar routine and the support of my friends and customers. Matt, as always, was a steady presence, offering advice and a listening ear. You need to take care of yourself, Pete, he told me one afternoon as we closed up shop. Focus on what you need to heal. Whatever happens with Julia, you need to be okay for Lily. His words struck a chord, reminding me that my well-being was crucial not just for me, but for my daughter. I couldn't afford to fall apart, no matter how much I was hurting. I needed to be strong, to find a way through the pain and confusion. As the weeks turned into months, Julia and I continued to navigate the fragile truce we had established. She attended counseling sessions and made a genuine effort to reconnect with me. But the wounds were still fresh, the trust still fractured. I too sought therapy, trying to untangle the complex emotions that had ensnared me. Our journey was far from over, and the path ahead remained uncertain. But with each passing day, I began to see glimmers of hope. The pain of betrayal still lingered, but there were moments of clarity and understanding that hinted at the possibility of healing. Whether our marriage could survive the storm remained to be seen, but for the sake of our daughter and our own sanity, we were determined to try. Despite the fragile peace that Julia and I had managed to establish, the pain of her betrayal remained a constant presence in my life. Each day was a struggle, a balancing act between trying to move forward and being weighed down by the memories of her affair. I found myself drifting through our routines, the CAF GC, and family life, feeling more like a spectator than an active participant. One weekend, as Julia prepared for another club retreat, I decided to take a definitive step. I couldn't continue living in a state of limbo, uncertain about our future. It was time to make a decision, one that would bring clarity and direction to our lives, no matter how painful it might be. I called Matt and asked him to meet me at the CAF GCE after closing. I needed someone to talk to, someone who could help me navigate the tumultuous emotions swirling inside me. As we sat down with cups of coffee, I laid out my thoughts and fears. Matt, I can't keep doing this, I admitted. I can't keep pretending everything's okay when it's not. I need to decide what to do about Julia, about our marriage. Matt nodded, his expression serious. I get it, Pete. This situation is tearing you apart. But whatever you decide, you need to be sure it's what you really want. Have you thought about what your life would look like if you stayed with her, or if you left? I sighed, running a hand through my hair. I've thought about it endlessly. If I stay, I don't know if I can ever trust her again. But if I leave, I'm breaking up our family. What about Lily? How do I explain this to her? It's going to be tough, no matter what you choose, Matt said gently. But you need to do what's best for you and Lily. She needs a father who's whole, who's not constantly weighed down by this betrayal. His words resonated deeply. I had been so focused on the pain and the uncertainty that I hadn't fully considered the impact on Lily. She deserved a father who was present and emotionally stable, someone who could provide her with a sense of security and love. After a long and painful conversation, I realized that staying in a broken marriage wasn't the answer. The trust between Julia and me was irrevocably shattered, and I couldn't see a way to rebuild it. The best thing I could do for myself and for Lily was to move forward, even if it meant making a difficult and heartbreaking decision. The next day, I contacted a divorce attorney. It was a sobering and emotional experience, laying out the details of Julia's affair and our fractured relationship. The attorney was compassionate yet professional, guiding me through the steps I needed to take to protect myself and secure a fair outcome for Lily and me. Armed with legal advice and a clearer sense of direction, I prepared myself for the difficult conversation ahead. That evening, after Lily had gone to bed, I sat down with Julia once again. The weight of what I was about to do hung heavily in the air. "Julia, we need to talk," I began, my voice steady but filled with sadness. "I've made a decision about us, about our marriage." She looked at me, a mix of fear and resignation in her eyes. "What is it, Peter?" "I've decided to file for divorce," I said, my heart aching with the words. "I can't keep living like this, and I don't think we can rebuild the trust that's been broken. It's not fair to either of us or to Lily." Julia's face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Peter, please. We can still work this out. I love you. I love Lily. I'll do anything to fix this." I shook my head, my own tears threatening to spill over. "I know you love us, Julia. But love isn't enough. Trust is gone, and without it, we can't move forward. I've already spoken to an attorney. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm seeking full custody of Lily. She needs stability, and right now I can provide that for her." The reality of my words hit Julia like a physical blow. She sobbed uncontrollably, trying to reach out to me, but I pulled away. "I'm sorry, Julia. This is the best decision for all of us. We need to start healing, and we can't do that together." The weeks that followed were some of the hardest of my life. The legal proceedings were painful, and the emotional toll was immense. I threw myself into the CAF GC and into being the best father I could be for Lily. She was my anchor, the reason I pushed through the pain and the uncertainty. Julia moved out, and we began the delicate process of co-parenting. It wasn't easy, and there were moments of anger and sadness, but I remained focused on creating a stable and loving environment for Lily. The support of my friends and the community was invaluable during this time, reminding me that I wasn't alone. One afternoon, as Lily and I were walking through the town square, she looked up at me with her innocent eyes and asked, "Daddy, why did Mommy have to leave?" I knelt down, holding her hands in mine. "Mommy and Daddy have some problems that we couldn't fix, sweetie. But both of us love you very much, and we're going to do our best to make sure you're happy and safe. Will we still see Mommy?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Yes, you will," I assured her. "Mommy loves you very much, and you'll still see her often. We're just living in different houses now." She nodded, trying to process the changes in her young mind. "Okay, Daddy, I love you." "I love you too, Lily," I said, hugging her tightly. "We'll get through this together, I promise." As the months went by, the initial pain of the divorce began to fade, replaced by a sense of relief and clarity. Julia and I managed to establish a cordial co-parenting relationship for Lily's sake. We communicated about her needs and made sure she felt loved and supported by both of us. The CAF GC continued to thrive, providing me with a sense of purpose and connection. The support from friends like Matt and the local community helped me navigate the ups and downs of my new life as a single parent. I started attending counseling sessions regularly, working through my emotions and learning to heal from the betrayal. In time, I began to open myself up to the possibility of new beginnings. I met new people, made new friends, and slowly started to rebuild my life. There were moments of loneliness and doubt, but there were also moments of joy and hope. One evening, as I was closing up the CAF GC, a woman walked in. She was a tourist, drawn in by the aroma of coffee and the cozy atmosphere. We struck up a conversation, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a spark of genuine connection. Her name was Emily, and she was visiting the town for a few weeks. We talked about the mountains, the CAF GC, and our shared love for adventure. As the conversation flowed, I felt a sense of excitement and possibility that I hadn't felt in a long time. Over the next few weeks, Emily and I spent more time together, exploring the town and the surrounding nature. She was kind, funny, and genuine, and being with her felt easy and natural. It was a stark contrast to the emotional turmoil I had been through, and I found myself looking forward to our time together. One evening, as we watched the sunset over the mountains, Emily turned to me and said, "Peter, I know you've been through a lot. I don't want to rush anything, but I really enjoy spending time with you. I think there's something special here." I looked into her eyes, feeling a warmth and hope that had been missing for so long. "I feel the same way, Emily. Let's take it one step at a time and see where this goes." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of pink and orange, I felt a sense of peace and optimism. The journey had been long and painful, but I was finally beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. With Lily by my side and the possibility of new love on the horizon, I knew that I was ready to embrace whatever the future held. The months following the divorce were a period of intense reflection and rebuilding. The CAF GC became my sanctuary, a place where I could focus on something other than the pain and uncertainty that had dominated my life for so long. Lily was my guiding light, her smile and laughter a constant reminder of what truly mattered. Together, we began to forge a new normal, one that was free from the shadows of betrayal and filled with hope for the future. Julia and I maintained a cordial co-parenting relationship for Lily's sake. We communicated about her needs, school events, and shared custody arrangements. It wasn't easy, and there were moments of tension and hurt, but we both understood that Lily's well-being was our top priority. Slowly, we established a rhythm that allowed her to feel loved and secure, despite the changes in our family structure. Emily and I continued to see each other, our relationship growing stronger with each passing day. She was patient and understanding, never pushing me to move faster than I was comfortable with. Her presence was a soothing balm for my wounded heart, and I found myself opening up to her in ways I hadn't anticipated. We spent many evenings talking about our pasts, our dreams, and our fears, building a foundation of trust and mutual respect. One evening, as we sat on the porch of the CAF GC, watching the sun set over the mountains, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Peter, have you ever considered what you want for the future? Not just for Lily or the CAF GC, but for yourself?" Her question took me by surprise. For so long, my focus had been on surviving the day-to-day challenges and ensuring Lily's happiness. I hadn't allowed myself to think too far ahead. "I guess I haven't really thought about it," I admitted. "Everything has been about getting through the next day, the next week." Emily smiled gently. "I understand that, but you deserve to think about your future too. What makes you happy, Peter? What do you want out of life?" Her words stayed with me long after she had left that evening. As I lay in bed, I pondered her question. What did I want for my future? The answer wasn't immediately clear, but I knew that I wanted to build a life that was fulfilling and meaningful, not just for Lily, but for myself as well. The next morning, I decided to take a step toward that future. I scheduled a meeting with a local counselor, someone who specialized in helping individuals navigate major life transitions. The sessions were challenging but illuminating. I began to unravel the complexities of my emotions, understanding the deep-seated fears and insecurities that had arisen from Julia's betrayal. The counselor helped me see that healing was a process, one that required patience and self-compassion. During one of our sessions, the counselor asked me a question that echoed Emily's words. "Peter, what are your dreams? What do you want to achieve?" The question stirred something deep within me. I thought about the CAF GC, the joy it brought me to see it thrive, and the sense of community it fostered. I thought about Lily, her bright future, and how I wanted to be a strong, supportive presence in her life. And I thought about Emily, the possibility of a future together, and the happiness she brought into my life. "I want to continue growing the CAF GCC," I said slowly. "I want to be the best father I can be for Lily. And I want to see where things go with Emily. I want to build a life that's full of love and purpose." The counselor nodded, smiling. "Those are wonderful goals, Peter. It's important to hold on to those dreams and work towards them. You've been through a lot, but you've also shown incredible strength. Keep moving forward, one step at a time." Inspired by these sessions, I began to take concrete steps toward my future. I invested more time and energy into the CAF GC, experimenting with new recipes and expanding our menu. The local community continued to support us, and the CAF GC became a beloved fixture in the town. I also made an effort to spend quality time with Lily, taking her on hikes, helping her with school projects, and simply enjoying our time together. Emily remained a constant presence, her support and encouragement a beacon of hope. Our relationship deepened, and I found myself imagining a future with her by my side. We took trips together, explored new places, and created memories that filled the void left by the past. One weekend, Emily and I decided to take Lily on a camping trip. It was a chance for us to bond as a family and to enjoy the beauty of the mountains that we loved so much. As we sat around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories, I felt a profound sense of peace and contentment. The past year's struggles and heartache seemed like a distant memory, overshadowed by the warmth and love of the present moment. As the fire crackled and the stars twinkled overhead, Emily turned to me with a smile. "Peter, this feels right, doesn't it? Being here, together." I nodded, my heart full. "It does, Emily. It really does." In that moment, I knew that I had found my path forward. It wasn't just about moving on from the past. It was about embracing the future with hope and determination. With Emily by my side and Lily as my inspiration, I was ready to build a life filled with love, joy, and purpose. The journey had been long and painful, but it had also been transformative. I had learned to trust again, to open my heart to new possibilities, and to believe in the resilience of the human spirit. The road ahead was still uncertain, but I was no longer afraid. I had found my way through the darkness, and I was ready to embrace the light. The camping trip marked a turning point, not just for me, but for our little family. It was a symbol of the new life we were building, a testament to the strength and resilience we had discovered within ourselves. As the months went by, the initial pain of the betrayal faded, replaced by a sense of purpose and hope. I focused on the future, determined to make the most of every moment. Lily continued to thrive, her laughter a constant reminder of why I had made the choices I did. She excelled in school, made new friends, and seemed genuinely happy. Seeing her flourish was my greatest joy and my most important measure of success. Julia and I maintained a respectful co-parenting relationship. The initial tension had given way to a mutual understanding of our roles as parents. We communicated openly about Lily's needs and made sure that she felt loved and supported by both of us. It wasn't always easy, but we both knew it was the right thing to do for our daughter. Emily and I grew closer, our bond deepening with each passing day. She became an integral part of our lives, not just as my partner, but as a loving presence for Lily. We spent weekends exploring the mountains, evenings cooking together, and countless hours sharing our dreams and fears. Her support and love were unwavering, and I found myself falling more in love with her each day. One crisp autumn morning, as we walked through the town square, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Peter, have you ever thought about what the next step for us might be?" Her question caught me off guard, but it also filled me with a sense of excitement. "I've been thinking about it a lot," I admitted. "I want us to build a future together, Emily. A real future, as a family." Her eyes sparkled with emotion. "I feel the same way. I love you, Peter. And I love Lily. I want us to be a family, officially." The conversation marked the beginning of a new chapter. We talked about our future, our dreams, and the life we wanted to create together. It was clear that we both saw a long-term commitment, a partnership built on love, trust, and mutual respect. A few months later, I planned a special evening to propose to Emily. With Lily's help, we decorated the CAF GC with fairy lights and flowers, creating a magical setting. As the sun set, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange, I took Emily's hand and led her to the center of the CAF GC. "Emily," I began, my voice filled with emotion, "you've brought so much love and joy into my life. You've been a rock for me and a loving presence for Lily. I can't imagine my future without you. Will you marry me?" Tears welled up in her eyes as she smiled and nodded. "Yes, Peter, I will marry you." The CAF GC erupted in cheers from the few close friends and family we had invited. It was a moment of pure joy and love, a testament to the journey we had undertaken and the new beginning we were embracing. Our wedding was a simple but beautiful affair, held at a scenic spot in the mountains that had become our favorite retreat. Surrounded by close friends and family, we exchanged vows, promising to support and cherish each other through all of life's challenges. Lily was our flower girl, her smile lighting up the ceremony and filling my heart with pride and happiness. As Emily and I danced under the stars, I reflected on the journey that had brought us here. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the painful process of healing VDJ, it had all led to this moment of love and fulfillment. I had learned to trust again, to open my heart to new possibilities, and to embrace the future with hope and determination. Our life together was filled with love, laughter, and adventure. We continued to explore the mountains, build the CAF GC, and create a home filled with warmth and joy. Emily's presence brought a sense of balance and harmony that I had longed for, and together, we navigated the ups and downs of life with a shared commitment to each other and to Lily. Lily thrived in this new environment, her bond with Emily growing stronger each day. She saw firsthand what love and resilience looked like, and it gave her a sense of security and happiness that was priceless. Seeing her so content and confident reaffirmed that we had made the right choices. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, Lily looked at us with a thoughtful expression. "Daddy, Emily, I'm really happy we're a family," she said, her eyes shining with sincerity. "I love you both so much." Tears filled my eyes as I reached out to hold her hand. "We love you too, Lily. More than anything." Emily nodded, her voice filled with emotion. "Yes, sweetheart, we love you very much. We're so lucky to have you in our lives." In that moment, I realized that despite the pain and challenges we had faced, we had built something beautiful and enduring. Our journey had been marked by trials and tribulations, but it had also been a testament to the power of love, resilience, and hope. As I looked at my wife and daughter, I felt a profound sense of gratitude and fulfillment. The future was bright, and I was ready to embrace it with open arms. Together, we would continue to build a life filled with love, joy, and adventure. The past had shaped us, but it was the future that held our promise and our dreams. We were a family, stronger and more connected than ever, and in that realization, I found a sense of peace and happiness that I had longed for. Our new beginning was just the start of a beautiful journey, one that we would navigate together, with love as our guiding light.